Hello everybody and welcome to Road Atlanta, which is looking very beautiful out here this afternoon for round number 3 of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship by Apex Racing League. My name's Dane Bear. We've got Marco Barbanera doing double duty alongside me on commentary and up in the production booth at the same time. So he's cloned himself. He's doing both jobs at once, which is brilliant to have him alongside me in the commentary booth today. And we are, of course, live on Apex Racing TV. Qualifying is just underway. And Marco, we had a good first couple rounds of the season, of course. Last round especially at Hockenheim, absolutely brilliant. And championship standings, it's fairly close up there at the front.
It is. And of course, we are going back to the... first of all, hello everyone, thanks for joining us. And yes, we are going back to the... Heat racing format that we use in some rounds of the championship that we used in Oran Park, and I was not there for the broadcast, so this is my first look at the heat racing format. We'll have 2 heat races, a Consolation, and of course the main event of the evening later today. As you can see, Grabowski in front of Costa and Andrea Alberti, your top 3 of the championship, are still very, very close. Of course, we still have drop rounds to factor in. It's very, very early in the season. This is the overall championship. The amateurs, which of course, as we will remind you, I think 100 times tonight, score together with the pros. So basically, in the overall standings, depending on where they finish, they get their points, not where they finish in their class. Kairos Competition's very own Kevin Finn is leading the way in front of Max Wolf and Paul Lange. Mark Silcock in 4th, and 5th is Kev Copeland, veteran of the series, together with Thomas Vebior, Christoph Vollant, Levi Johnson, Joseph Soul, Craig Jones, and a couple of drivers who have been very naughty boys, to quote Life of Brian, and are actually having negative points. So they hope for a clean round. Speaking of which, listen to the feedback of the drivers. Tonight there is a new rule in place, and for the first lap, every penalty that is given in the first lap, after of course next during the week when the stewards will do the protests, these penalties that are received for a crash or something that happens in lap 1 will be given a nice +1 Super Mario style. So let's see if someone can get the coveted level 4 penalty, which has never been assigned in the history of Apex Racing League. We shall see. So yeah, let's head for the racetrack, because qualifying is underway and it's a very, very busy racetrack, and leading the way is Josh Thompson in front of Kamil Grabowski and Mateusz Nogai. So it's Williams Evolve and now the Volante driver of Matthias Berg into 3rd place.
Yeah, qualifying underway. I believe the drivers get 4 laps. Oh no, they don't. They get unlimited laps in qualifying. My apologies. And yeah, they've got 10 minutes to get their laps in. We're using the heat racing format, of course, so because of that, at the 10-minute mark, everyone will be very unceremoniously kicked off the circuit, and yeah, they won't get to finish their lap times, unlike in say Formula 1 or a lot of other leagues that we host even at Apex Racing League. Yeah, that's at 10 minutes, that's it. If you haven't finished your lap by then, that's just a bit tough. And the first 7 positions dominated by drivers with red and white flags, which is just a weird, interesting thing that has happened here. Grabowski's going to cross the line now with Thompson right behind, and Thompson sets the new fastest lap of qualifying. He goes 2/10 quicker, and Grabowski gets pushed even further down now as well, because Nogai has just gone a little bit closer as well. They're going to pull over to the right side and reset, get a new car, new tyres, and be back on their way. It's open qualifying, as you can see, so everyone's out on the track together, so that can cause some interesting scenarios, especially at Road Atlanta, because they've got the long old back straight, sort of straight. They're not really straight, and yeah, drafting is particularly important here, because yeah, if you can get behind someone down there, it's going to give you a good old couple of tenths worth of lap time.
And Dane, a racetrack that's a tale of two halves, I would say. The first part of the track, incredibly technical, a lot of elevation changes, a lot of tough braking areas, and then the S's, of course. And then after the dreadful, infamous, I should say, turn 5, which of course is going to be the theater of some issues tonight, because it always ends like this. We have the more quote-unquote easy part of the track with the straight, the 2 right-handers, another straight, which is not really straight, the chicane, a great passing opportunity, and then the roller coaster of the final corner, which is always amazing. And especially here, a very, very, very tricky place, especially in qualifying, because if you go wide there, it's quite easy to invalidate both your current lap and the lap that you start soon thereafter, because the start-finish line is basically like it was in Magny-Cours back then, right at the exit of the final corner. There it is.
Oh, and we can't see Josh Thompson anymore. Someone's obviously locked up massively, or spun even, into turn 1, giving us a massive smoke screen that I couldn't at least see through. Kev Copeland, one of the AM class driver, I believe 3rd at the moment in AM class qualifying, making his way through. One of the very experienced drivers in the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. One of the few that's actually participated in all 3 seasons. I don't think there are too many drivers on the grid who've done all 3. Oh! What is that?
That was one of the wave cars that I think that was Andrea Alberti.
What on earth has happened there?
Okay,
that is a really weird one. And someone in the background had a bit of a sympathy spin as well, I noticed, coming across the line, which is very easy to do. So,
he didn't hold the brakes.
I think the opposite, just floored it.
Floored it, yes. And then you see the sympathy spin there in the back. Ouch. And that, of course, is not ideal, especially, maybe the other driver wanted to do another lap. And, of course, it is...
we won't have time anymore.
Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh, dear.
Oh, man. Oh, dear.
And he landed it. Anderushi, I think that was.
Yeah.
What is happening on the main straight here? That is so weird.
So it seems like the drivers are very, very eager to get into the racing portion of the evening, even though it's still, in qualifying. And the 8 format, as Costa jumps up to 6th, I think. The 8 format, of course, we will have a little bit less cars on track each time around, but we will have more action to bring you, of course, as checker flag is about to wave. Who's coming to the start-finish line? Maybe Nogai for Evolve Sim Racing. He might do it, even though I don't think he's improving on his personal best. Let's see, final corner, he's got Grabowski right in front of me. Grabowski crashes, doesn't improve. Nogai improves, but he's not enough.
No, and because, Jensen, Matthias Jensen in 2nd, so moving up to what is pole position for the heat race. So basically what's happening now is we will have 2 heat races where we split the qualifying field in half based on their qualifying position. So all the drivers who qualified in the odd position, so 1st, 3rd, 5th, etc., are going to go into heat number 1, as you can see the grid on the screen now, and heat number 2 will be made up of all the drivers qualified in even position. So 2nd place for Matthias Jensen is pole position in heat number 2, and then I believe it is, I'm actually going to double check this, the top 12 will go through to the feature race. Everybody else goes down to the Consolation, in which we will have a couple of drivers, I think 6, if I'm not mistaken, 6 drivers will go through to the feature, and the feature will have a 30-car grid. And what is really awesome to have for the first time ever on Apex Racing TV, I believe, we've now got this beautiful blue graphic that you can see on the SDK Gaming overlay that we have, and that will highlight the top 12 drivers. So drivers that are highlighted in blue will be making their way through to the feature from this heat, which is a really nice addition to our overlay that we've got now, which is it's great to see, isn't it, Marco?
Yes, absolutely. It's been a long-awaited feature. It's finally here, And yeah, it's going to be cool because someone came up with the idea of putting the amount of cars that go through next to the session name a few weeks ago. And this, of course, is a much better, to have it also visualized. And of course, even when we look at the driver in question, if you see, for example, on the bottom left, his name will also be in blue color if he's one of the lucky 12, or in the case of the Consolation, the lucky 6.
Absolutely, and we'll see who those lucky 12 are going to be in heat number 1 as we are getting ready to race for the first time this evening. And we go green for the first time at Road Atlanta, and it is a good start for Josh Thompson, but Nogai, oh, he's actually just cut in front of him there. He's managed to get in front and away very cleanly indeed, the driver for Williams Esports. It looks like everyone seeming to get through turn 1 and turn 2 as well cleanly. Now into the S's, probably going to see a little bit of carnage ensue here because it tightens up massively as we see the cars sneaking through. A couple drivers off the circuit already in the background. Look, you can see there's a big gap. Oh, and someone's turned around as well on the screen too as they all filed their way through the S's, but something happened further back because a whole bunch of drivers got held up behind. It looks like one of the drivers in the lower end of the, yes, it was Ward and someone else I believe as well, but for the most part the top 12 at least all got through very cleanly indeed. And you're right on board with Burke now looking ahead at Nogai, but Thompson had a little bit of a lead, but like I said earlier, with this draft down the main straight you can see moves happening pretty much every single lap.
This car loves the draft, and this car of course has got very pedestrian brakes, so we might see overtakes, and we will see overtakes, especially there at the hairpin, Dane. I think so far it's been a very clean start apart from those couple of speeds, so I don't want to jump the gun, but the new rules seem to have worked. As Thompson in front of Nogai, Berg, Vangen and Berven, your top 5. Last driver with a ticket to the main event right now is Arturas Kundelis from Lithuania.
Yep, absolutely. 7 seconds off the leaders after the first lap. And looking back a little bit further, we've got one of the Evo SR cars in front, and what is a bit of an odd happenings here. We've had Evo SR, Evolve Sim Racers, in Apex Racing League for a very long time, basically since the start, and now we've got Evolve Sim Racing, very similar name but completely different team, who have joined in the last Porsche Cup season with Kamil Grabowski, who ended up winning it. And then of course he now is his teammate of Nogai, who's in second. But interestingly, Josh Thompson's gained a little bit of time on that last lap, and he's got about 7/10 of a second worth of a gap. There is Langer, making a bit of a move, but he ran a bit wide, and that's allowed Kevin Finn in 9th to catch up to these two. There was quite a bit of a big gap between them at the start of the lap. Finn has caught up, and it might be a battle for the for the win in the AM class, heating up a little bit here. You can see another couple of AM cars behind of Wolf and Wavor is just outside of the top 12. You'll have to try and make a move on Kundelis if he wants to try and make a move, and Saul has found himself very much in the barriers on the outside there, and something tells me it might have been a little bit of contact there. And yes, you can see what looks like the driver behind Macaulay, Ludek, has for what is this, Vulcan Sim Racing. Looks like there's a bit of damage to the front of that car, so something's happened involving him for sure. 1.3 seconds is the gap between Nogai and Thompson now, so Thompson trying to check out a bit, but Nogai not too worried about that. He's a bit more worried about Burke behind.
So as you say, we have a team called Evolve Racing, and of course we have a new team, Volante Racing, which has the same livery almost, looking at the front from USR, and at the back. Then in the middle is completely different. As you can see right now, the middle is a nice, I love this aqua light blue color, but if you see in the front and at the back, it's very easy to as we have a mistake here from Thomas Thorpe of IGL Racing.
Went 3 wide.
And that's for the lead of the amateur class in front of between Lange and championship leader in the amateur class, Kevin Finn.
Now Christensen trying to go all the way around the outside of Finn. I think they even made a little bit of contact through turn number 1, but Finn keeps the position now as they make their way into turns 2 and 3. Now look at this. This is where it gets interesting. Turns 2, 3, 4, and now we go through the S's. Through here, you can see they turn right, then they turn left, then they turn right again, and now we're at turn 5 because the numbering system makes sense. So this is just it's almost at some places it's worse than Road America at some point at this circuit.
I was about to say that, yes. It's you know, it's a very unique cornering numbering system that sometimes they have in the USA. I'm not talking about the oval corners because I absolutely agree that ovals have 4 corners, 4 turns.
Yeah.
But road course corner counting could use some work.
Just a little bit, but now could have a little bit of a battle here for the leaders of the AM class. We don't have a battle for the lead in Pro because there's a 1.3 second gap, but Finn is what's that, 0.4 of a second between himself and Lang in front. And of course he's got Christensen and Torp, and then Wolf also in the AM class, currently sitting 3rd in the AM class at the moment. So there's a little bit of a train forming here, and it looks like Hutchinson making a move up the inside of Weaver, who is one of the AM drivers. Can't make it quite work. You can carry a lot of speed around the outside of turn 1, so it's not the easiest place to try and make a move. Thompson off the circuit. He's off the circuit at turn 5, so he's lost a little bit of time there.
I think he was very lucky, because usually if you go off in that corner, you don't live to tell the tale. And I saw some tire tracks in the grass there, which were absolutely telling. Ooh. Oh, Lange is off as he was side by side with Finn, and he's around.
Oh, so is Finn as well. Finn's dropping back as well. Just ahead, he's just about got back going now, but both of them now 3 seconds behind. Well, Finn is 3 seconds behind. Lange's a lot further than that, but both of them now out of the top 12. So that's disastrous for these two. Let's see what happens here. Lange on the inside, Finn trying to hold it around the outside, just gets pushed wide, and Lange looks like, to me at least, looks like he's just turned himself a bit.
Lange had to tow back to the pits, of course, massive damage on his car.
That is really unfortunate. They're going side by side here, Eclipse and Vulcan Sim Racing. That is Levi Johnson in the 221, who we're looking back at Beck in the 216 machine. And look how much time he's just gained through turn 1, took a bit of a wider line, carried a bit more speed. He's right on the back now. You'd expect him to be trying to make a move at some point, probably down the main straight, the back straight. There's no real reason for anyone to try and make a move anywhere else, is there? Oh, what's this? Torp is off. Looks like the same sort of thing that happened to Thompson a few laps ago.
And Johnson also is off. We were just looking at him. So far,
that
everyone
makes this next job a little bit easier.
You know, it's strange, because usually if you go off there, your race is over. But we have seen a few drivers go off there at turn 5, and they managed to, continue, all of them. Of course,
pure luck.
Yes, absolutely. Especially with this car that it's very unstable in the best of circumstances. Then, of course, so when you go off track on the grass, bouncing on the curb, it's terrible situation to be in.
And usually, the weird thing about that corner is usually getting forced wide by hitting the curb is when you go sort of half on the curb. That curb on the outside of turn 5, you either get all 4 wheels up onto it and you fully commit to it, or you avoid it completely, because if you try and sort of take it easy over that curb, a curb will send you into the wall, which is a really weird thing, because you'd think hitting it harder would actually make it a bit more difficult, but no, that's not how it works at this curb. So you'll see some of the drivers won't take any curb at all, and some of them will take the entire curb. And yeah, that is why, as we are on board with Max Wolf, who of course now leads the AM class in this race after the contact between Finn and Lange. So he's doing well out there in 8th, and he's got Torque just behind 2. And he's going to have to, he can go straight to the right-hand side of the circuit to try and defend, because look at the draft, look at the power of that draft. It's dragging Torp along, round the outside through this kink and then down to the braking zone. He's made that move very cleanly indeed, and he moves himself up to 8th. Absolutely brilliant move.
The amount of green and black cars in this championship is concerning. So I saw there is another one. I saw it earlier. You know, we had a problem back then when we did PSR, that a lot of the cars were orange. Were orange.
Orange?
Yes.
Orange is a very uncommon color on racing liveries, I think. Fox Gaming representing, of course, because Foxes, they are orange, so it would make sense for them to have an orange-starred livery.
Foxes are orange?
Yeah.
My softball team where I played a few years ago was called the Red Foxes. We were red, not orange.
What? Foxes are orange?
Maybe in Italy they are red, and in the UK are orange. I don't know.
Maybe, but Vervin trying to go around the outside into the chicane. Yeah, looks like he's just going to sit back. He's actually missed the apex there. Could go for a nice cutback, but I think he's just put himself in a poor position to try and make that work. And yeah, he's not doing particularly well in that regard. But he has got his compatriot of Vanguard just in front. And I believe Thomas Vanguard actually drove for Team Vikings last season.
Yeah,
in the GT4s. So
might be right.
I think he was, and also Christensen. I know for a fact that Christensen was, because I raced against him in season 2. But yeah, he's also moved over to Fox Gaming, and he's joined Sindre Silva, Rallycross World Championship driver, and someone else who I cannot remember the name of. I do apologise. But yeah, there's 4 of them in the Fox Gaming team in this series, and Hutchinson looks like he's just got a brilliant run on Reroll just there. Look at that, he's going for a move into turn 6, and he's got that one done. Has he? Reroll's trying to get a... Oh, he's trying to get a little bit of a look into turn 7, but that's never really going to work. That corner tightens up so much, it's ridiculous how much that corner tightens up, and we've only got 3 minutes left of the race, Mark.
Yeah, as Vangen is defending from Berben here. You know, I was thinking, you know, maybe it's like, you know, in every language each animal, you know, has a different sound, no? Even though they are the same animal, you know? So I don't know, how do you, you know, how does it sound when a dog barks in English? Like woof woof, right?
Yeah.
Something, and in Italian it's bow bow, you know, but the animal is still the same, you know? So maybe foxes are orange in the rest of the world and red in Italy, I don't know.
Well, then again, you get sports teams called like purple bears and stuff. So maybe it's just stuff like that. Because I don't know about you, I've never seen a purple bear before. But anyway, we've got Wangan still defending from Bervin there. Bervin, you could see what he was doing there in the chicane. He cut back and took a tight line through the first part, opened up the second part beautifully, tried to get a run, but Wangan was smart. He was wise to it and put his car in a perfect place. He's done it there again. Bervin's tried to get a cutback, and Wangan's placed his car to perfection. There is no way Bervin is trying to get a cutback where he's placed it like that. So yeah, that's just given him a bit of an extra advantage. Now you'll see he'll pull to the left-hand side. Bervin will stick with him for the draft, and I'll pull over to the right-hand side. He's going to try and cut back. He's actually gone all the way around the outside here, and Wangan's holding it around his outside now, and look at the speed that Wangan's able to carry out of the corner, and this is now black hole for Pure Sims to catch up to them, so we might have a bit of a battle here. What is this, 2 laps to go now?
Maybe 1. It's going to be very close, you know, very, very close.
I think there's a 7-second gap between these and Thompson first. I think it was close for these guys. I think Thompson would have had a good few seconds on it, but we never know with iRacing, so we'll have to wait and see when Thompson crosses the line if it is going to be the end of the race or not. But these 3, they'll know, of course, they'll have the white flag or not. up on their screen. We don't have the luxury of that.
We would see Barney the flagman waving the flag. Let's see if someone is coming across the finish line right now.
No.
And Barney is not waving, so yeah, 2 laps to go. New feature,
Ooh.
thankfully, that iRacing gave us.
Wangen's got a poor exit there. That's really poor exit, actually. Bervin should easily have this one before the braking zone even. He's pulled over to the right-hand side, and he has got the inside line for this next corner now. You can see as Burke pushes Nurgaj around the final few corners, and there we go. Bervin very nicely up the inside, and yeah, that was a mistake from Wangen. Got a bit of wheel spin on the exit of 7. That just allowed, there we can see in the background the white flag being waved.
Yes, and he's getting very close for second place. So it's been a couple of laps at the chicane. Burke has been super close to the driver in front of him, but has not forced the issue. Remember, this race
also
gives points, huh? So
yeah, and there's also a 4/10 gap between 12th and 13th. We were on Finn for 2nd and 3rd in the AM class, but that's the final transfer spot. So this could be really interesting, because I think Finn's probably close enough at this point, if he can stay this close, to try and make a move into the chicane at the end of the lap and take 12th off him on the final time of asking. He's caught up a 3-second gap in the last few laps, has Finn. Now you can see just how close he is. If I'm Finn now, I'm holding back. I'm not going to make a move. But he is looking in the same place where he got the contact last time. He's just going to stay back. Look how close he is. There's surely no ways that he doesn't make this move stick as if he's that close coming out of turn 7. But we will focus our attention down. 2nd place, there's no move to be made there in Josh Thompson. Coming across the line in just a few moments time. There he goes round the final corner, keeping on the circuit, takes the checkered flag, and he will move down into the feature race and start on pole position. Now Kevin Finn sending it up the inside into the chicane. Is he going to get it stopped in time? Oh no, he's not. Oh, and it's going to be side by side at the final corner. Kevin Finn side by side with Weevil, and now it looks like Weevil is actually going to have it. Finn will try and go all the way around the outside, but he won't be able to get on. Will he? No, it's a photo finish, and 0.03 of a second is the gap. But Finn, oh, he's not going to be able to make it. He'll go and start the Consolation race on pole position. We were holding on by the finest of margins.
Incredible, incredible finish there for the transfer spot. And yeah, it's by nothing, but Weaver is able to get it through. I think in the end, Berben was able to stay in front of Wangen, even though the timing tower here on our monitor has got conflicting ideas, because it says that Berven is in front of Wangen overall, but behind him in class, which is of course not possible. But I think that Berven was able to get it done. We will get the official score in a second for this first heat race, and have confirmation of the 12 drivers that will go through, and point in, you know, just here we go. And you can see, yes, Berven finished 4th. So these are the 12 drivers that will go through. The rest of your grid right now that you see on the screen will go to the Consolation race later today. So let's go to the starting grid for race 2.
And yeah, you can see the overlay highlighting the top 12 in blue once again. Oh, it's just disappeared. That's a bit of a shame. I like the blue color. It looks quite good. There it is. Matthias Jensen's qualified 2nd on the grid, and he will start from pole position in heat number 2. The drivers are already gridding up, and they're making our life very difficult. You can see the rest of the grid up on the screen there. A couple of drivers not setting a lap time. I believe that's because of penalties, that they will not be setting a lap time in qualifying. I believe they might have pit lane starts
only
as
Silva
well.
As a pit lane start.
Only Silva, so you can see there in the bottom left-hand side of the screen, he is starting from the pit lane, and we go green for the 2nd time. Heat number 2, top 12, go through to the feature, and it's a great start from Jensen, you can see there, but Grabowski trying to make it 3 wide with Costa on the outside there, trying to make it 3 wide, and unsuccessfully because Jensen's managed to get ahead, but now Alberti looking to move up into 3rd as well, as they all file their way through into turn 2 and into turn 3. in the S's now, and they're side by side for the lead. Grabowski around the outside of Jensen. That's not going to work. He has to tuck in ahead of Costa. They're still single file for the most part, and it looks like a couple drivers out of the race already, but mostly clean.
Yeah, Olberg, Collins and Madsen did not start, which is odd to say the least, especially for Nick Madsen. Nick Madsen that yesterday was wheeling and dealing in the Italian Automobile Club Esports Championship. Was the star of the show in Branzaccia, as Sindre Silva has come out of the pit, so he was the driver, the only driver that had a pit lane start to serve today.
And Jensen still leads at the end of lap number 1. Grabowski looked like he was going to get so close. Look how close he is. Less, probably a car's length in that, even if that. They're so close as they head onto the start finish straight once again, and looks like McFadden just getting a little bit wide there. Parker's off the circuit in the background as well and losing a lot of time. But yeah, mostly clean start, a very clean start. Everyone's still in single file as they came through down the S's. Fitzpatrick has lost out though. He started in 12th. He's down to 14th, so he's going to have to get a bit of a move on if he wants to try and make it into the feature from this heat, because you don't want to go into the Consolation race because it's normally not got the best driving quality because everyone's trying to get into the top 6. So getting to the top 12 in Heat 2 is a bit easier than trying to make your way into the top 6 in the Consolation, you would imagine. And Marco, do you want to know an interesting fact about this new feature with the Heat Racing drivers who go through feature? You said that you had the idea of showing it in the race name. Mm-hmm. The idea of putting it on the overlay was mine.
I know.
From around about this time last year. It was taking a bit of a while for Pascal to get it in as they're making contact side by side for the lead. Grabowski's actually made it up the inside, around the outside to begin with, and Costa might try and make it up into second now as well. He hasn't. Jensen holds it around the outside and keeps second place, but Grabowski leads as they start lap number 3. That was a really forceful move there. Jensen tried to block him off, but no, Grabowski said, no, I'm not having any of that. Stuck it up the inside for the second apex anyway, and yeah, he's got a bit of a gap already over the Danish driver behind him. So a brilliant move there from Grabowski into the final chicane.
Great stuff from Grabowski there, and now he's absolutely focused, I think, on pulling away. Not going to be easy, but he's a driver that knows how to do it. Pascal Costa tries to get past Jensen, but so far no dice. We'll see if he will have a chance to go through at the chicane, as right now 12th spot, as you can see, Matt Chambers for Evo SR Blue, and is followed by 2 Evo SR Orange drivers, Kev Copeland in the amateur class, and Sam Fitzpatrick, and Christoph Folland, of course, for number 299, and away we go racing. And James Parker for the very very creative name, iRacing UK racing team.
Bit of a lockup from someone heading down into the chicane. And something interesting about Valenti Racing. You said you liked the blue turquoise sort of colour on the middle of their car. That is inspired by Allied Racing's livery. Allied Racing is a team that races in like Porsche Cup and GT4 in Germany and in the real world. They had an esports team, which Valenti Racing was, for about a year, and then Valenti Racing sort of broke away from that partnership, and that's why they sort of kept the same sort of colour scheme. A very different livery, but the same sort of colours. So it's a very, very nice looking livery. It's got a nice metallic effect on it. But I do enjoy that livery. It's quite a good one, as I do with Impulse Racing for Pascal Costa as well. So some really good liveries, and German Sim Racing have also got a very good livery as well. I do like quite a few of the liveries in this grid are actually really good.
Yes.
Andretti in 5th here in the 115. Yeah, the German Sim Racing, those liveries with the eagle on the side, they're really good.
By the way, volante means steering wheel in Italian, but also means someone who is flying or something that flies. So
flying steering wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, let's so close between them. Are they going to go 3 wide out of the chicane? They are, over the bridge, surely. How have they kept it clean? They're literally touching as they come around the final corner. McFadden holds on to 4th, Andretti somehow is still in 5th. And there is Alberti, oh, big send up the inside. And look, McFadden carries so much extra speed, they make contact. And look how much extra speed he carried through turn 1, and he managed to hold on to that position brilliantly.
Stuart, one of the veterans of the old BSR series in the Porsche, but now leaves the door open. This is very, very sketchy, Dane. Oh, man.
It actually reminds me of Pesk. When Pesk came to Road Atlanta, it looked like that the entire time. He's actually just gone a little bit off and touched the grass. And yeah, Andretti's going to make a bit of a move here. But they were nose to tail like that for the entire race with very few incidents. I don't know how they do it, because if one of those drivers was me, you can guarantee something is going wrong, right? So, yeah, I don't know how they've managed to do that. And look at this, Alberti now going to the right-hand side in the Wavicity machine. And, oh, they're going to go 3 wide into the chicane. They're so close to making contact down around the outside for Andretti. Sorry, for Alberti. Andretti holds on to 4th, and Faden drops down to 6th. What have we got down here? 10th and 11th? No, 9th and 10th. Kessler and Passoni.
By the way, it's getting
still
incredibly
very close in the top 3.
Close to the top 3.
Yeah. Incredibly close here. They've got a 3-second gap to Andretti in 4th now because of the battles that we've just been watching over the last lap or 2. But yeah, Grabowski only leads by 2/10. These 3 drivers doing really well. Remember, the winner of this heat will start 2nd in the feature. So although nothing happens in terms of do you get to the feature, everybody in the top 3 will get to the feature, of course. But it is very useful for grid position for that feature, which is why they'll be battling quite hard. And Kev Copeland's just dropped back. Let Matty Chambers through. And now Sam Fitzpatrick wants to have a look down the inside. No, Kev Copeland. This is a bit of a battle between all of the teammates here. And Copeland has to drop back a little bit. But only one of these 3 looks like they're going to get through. So how are they going to decide that?
You know, speaking of you know, the positions, and you were talking about the consolation race later on, which of course it's like the last chance saloon for the drivers. So you might be involved in some accidents because everyone is trying their best to get through. But also, in the event you are able to win the consolation race, you are going to start 25th. So you know, it's still an incredibly tough mountain to climb, even if you manage to win the consolation, let alone, you know, make it the top 6 in the consolation. So starting basically you know, at the back of the pack in 30th place, basically, if you finish 6th, the last transfer spot from the consolation. So you really don't want to finish outside the top 12. But of course, as Fitzpatrick now jumps into 12th place, someone has to, you know, has to lose out, you know. So easier said than done from us sitting up here.
Yeah, we didn't have this when it was myself and Jack Knight as teammates in the series for season 2. We didn't have that problem because everybody went through to the next race because it was a 2-race format like we saw last time out at Hockenheimring. Here, of course, yeah, it's a little bit more difficult. We have this sort of format in the F3 series as well. Oh, they're making contact. How are they staying? They're 3 wide over the bridge, underneath the bridge.
No.
Once again. Oh, and Alberti gets turned around and into the wall. That is Alberti's chances of making it into the feature race from here well and truly gone. And it was so clean for so long, but I guess at some point that had to end.
Yeah, there was no space, I think, you know, and they really didn't leave each other space like the drivers that did it before them, because there was a little bit of aggravation between them. See a bit of ping-ponging.
Oh, actually what happened was McFadden went around down the inside of both of them and then just got clipped or slightly turned himself on Andretti, who was in the middle, and because of that, the rear end of McFadden swung round as he tried to save himself, and swung round to the left, and that's what knocked Alberti off the circuit. And they're going side by side again here, down the main straight. There's still 4 minutes left in the race, and Isaacson now wants to try and get involved. Andretti round the outside, making that move quite nicely indeed, up to 4th. But this is great racing.
And it's still very close up top.
Yep.
3/10 of a second from first to second, and of course 8/10 of a second from first to third. So we'll get back to these guys, don't worry about it.
Which
all
is still
pro
very much
in the
within
top
draft
12.
range.
Yeah. So all pro drivers in the top 12 lane so far.
Theoretically, yes. Sam Fitzpatrick doesn't count as a pro driver in my eyes, but yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is all 12 pro drivers up there in Heat 2. I think it was we had 2 AM drivers in Heat 1 progress.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be a big help for them, of course, come the main event.
Yep, definitely. Where most of the points are, I believe. So yeah, it will be interesting for sure. Especially in the Consolation, we've got Copeland, Valant, Parker, all trying to get into the Consolation, along with Finn, and there was a couple of other drivers I know of that went into the Consolation, when the Consolation near the front of the grid on the Consolation. But with 3 minutes to go, look at your leaders now, Grabowski, Jensen, they are so close, but Jensen he can't make a move. Or
he doesn't want to make a move.
He doesn't. Or he wants to wait until the last lap. And that could be it. We saw that in Pest. In Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, the World Championship Series. Drivers were sitting behind each other for the entire race. Just basically chilling and using the draft to their advantage to stick with them. And then on the last lap, all of the moves happened. And there was a bit of carnage ensued. But that could be what Jensen's doing, but he's dropping back a little bit now, so I'm not too sure if that's what he's planning. We'll have to wait and see if he tries to make a move on the final lap, which will be probably the next lap? The next lap after this one? I'm not sure.
I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be close once again. Let's see. So they're lapping in the 121. I think they might do 2 more at this point.
At this point, yes.
Maybe.
Yeah, they'll definitely be...
Where is Barney? Give me Barney. White flag. This thing was not mentioned in the release notes, but I am 100% sure it wasn't a thing until 3-4 months ago that you could see the white flag as a spectator. So thank you, iRacing, finally. Now the next thing is to give it to us in the API, in the SDK, so we can also show it to you in timed races. But you know, it's a step forward.
It sure is. And yeah, Jensen, he's half a second back. He's I don't think he's close enough to try and make a move. We'll have to wait and see. He's weaving down the straight. He's trying to break the draft as much as possible. Is Grabowski. He's done this more than once, and down to the final corner he goes. He knows that Jensen's not close enough to make a move. He comes out of the chicane, just one more application of the throttle, just not lighting up the rear tyres. Brilliant stuff there. The checkered flag is out and waving, and Kamil Grabowski will come across the final corner now, flashing the headlights. He'll take the win in Heat 2 and progress into the feature. And now we've got side by side here, Isaacson and Godestad making their way across the line, and here at the end, Copeland is the Evo SR driver who misses out. So it is an all-pro top 12. and Sam Fitzpatrick got through.
Yeah, I think if we look at closely at the replay, you might see Sam, give a tenner to his teammate through the window of his car on the back straight. But we should have the results for you. No, we don't, because we are waiting for... oh, poor Andrea Alberti. There is. There is. Poor Andrea Alberti, that, of course, has to be one of the names that we have to keep in mind for the consolation race. Very quickly, It2 results. There they are, nicely in blue, your top 12 that will make it to the final. And now, of course, this is the grid for the consolation, and from the top 12 to the top 6.
Yep, and it's Battle of the Kevins. In the AM class at the front, Kevin Finn, Kev Copeland in first and second. Both of them, at some point in their careers, Apex Racing League Amateur Champions. I'll have you know. So Kevin Finn in the ARL GT Team Championship with Kairos Competition. Kev Copeland in this series in Season 1. He was the AM champion. He came second in the AM Championship in Season 2. But the rest of the grid on the screen, top 6 progress. The top 6 at the moment. Finn, Copeland, Deal, Valant, Ward, and Parker. And we will see completely dominated by UK and Ireland drivers, with only Valant, the only one in the top 6 not from the UK and Ireland club. He's in the German club. But it is time to go racing for the consolation. 10 minutes of action, and we go green for the third time here today. And Deal has gone from third on the grid all the way up into first. It's not the best start from Kevin Finn, and look at that. Deal in the 179 vector by RSR car moves up into first position as they make their way through turns 2 and 3 now. Finn holds on to second ahead of Copeland though. Ward, Valant, and now O'Shaughnessy in sixth, and it looks like they've all made it through cleanly. Through there, you can see mostly single file. There's got a couple stragglers near the back. As I say that, someone's gone off in the background. He's trying to make his way through the shortcut, but that's not going to work.
He's on the club circuit, used in the skip barbers every once in a while. Very nice. But yeah, that's not going to count, unfortunately. And for Elgerud, that's probably going to be it. Not a lot of time to come back, and you can see, apart from him, everyone. You see now from the gaps on the screen, very much in a single group, as Deal and Finn are trying to pull away, as we have Ward diving on the inside, and now there is a dive bomb there for O'Shaughnessy, and he goes straight through.
Brake failure, and I'm gonna stop and let everyone past. And now we've got a little bit of battle for first position. Finn looking to the inside in turn number 1. We've seen that not work particularly well throughout the first couple of races, but it's worked well for him here. And side by side, someone getting forced off the circuit behind. And there's a massive cluster of cars making their way through turns 2 and 3 now, and they just about sort themselves out into single file for the most part. Finn up into the lead by 0.2 of a second over Deal. They've got a bit of a gap to Ward in third. Very competent driver, Ward, in these Porsche Cup machines. And then Copeland, Alberti in 5th already.
See, Silva, of course, starting from the pits due to a penalty, and had a terrible heat race. And now he's occupying the last spot. Useful to go through the main event, as you can see. It's a draft train on the backstretch, everyone moving up and down, following the leader, and now they open. Trying to go for the lead is Ross Deal once again, and he can't make it work. Here comes Ward on the inside.
And I don't think Ward's managed to get up the inside of Finn, so he'll be able to cut across now, but he has got second place from Deal. That was very good driving there. He did what we've seen Wangen do. And what we were trying to, and what we saw Bervin trying to do on Wangen in the first race is get that cut for the first part of the chicane, open up the second part, and get the best exit out of the 3 drivers, and move himself up a position. He could have even got Finn, but Finn He managed to get a fairly good exit despite having a tight line through that second apex. And now we're looking at Alberti, who's moved up all these places and almost making contact with the rear of that Evo SR car of Kev Copeland. In there, riding on board with Alberti in towards turn number 6. Looks to the inside, doesn't make the move though. And now into turn 7, we'll see these top 5 drivers separated by just 1.7 seconds. They're very, very close here. And riding on board the car wash competition car of Kevin Finn, looking back at Lewis Ward for racing. Oh, sorry, for. I've got that totally wrong, but he moves to the inside. Ward under braking. Is he going to look for the move? He looks for it, but doesn't go for it. He just about backs out in time. And the Team 11 driver just can't get into first place. But remember, these guys are fighting over 25th in the feature race. In reality, that extra position is not going to do too much for you. So it is not worth wrecking your race over, because you still have to finish in the top 6 with around about 5 minutes left to go. Silver on the back of Copeland as Alberti's moved up into 4th, but they have got danger behind. Vulcan Sim Racing's Ludek in 7th, and then Valant as well, just a little bit further behind, dropping back actually. So it's going to be a battle for the top 7 here in Madsen.
He showed up a little bit too late, you know.
Yeah, just a little bit. I'm not too sure what the point of even driving at this point is now for Madsen. He didn't take part in the heat race. It looks like he had technical issues because he's just joined the session now. So that's a weird one. He rejoins 4 laps down on the Consolation. Maybe he's praying for the mother of all pileups. And then he might be able to make a feature spot out of this. But all around the outside, Ward trying to go all the way around the outside of Finn on a big lockup behind
us.
They touch. As Copeland and Silver are going side by side, but now they make contact out of the underneath the bridge. Finn holds on to 2nd. They're going side by side behind, and Alberti has to settle for 4th. Silver not happy with someone, and they're packing doors down the straight. Christy Deck up into 6th now. Copeland drops out of the top 7, and Valant's involved now as well.
Yeah, that, I mean, I know the heat of the moment. I'm the last one that can talk, but the leaders banging wheels, very risky. I can understand a little bit more aggravation from 5th, 6th, 7th, of course, because those are the transfer spots. But they were very lucky, Ward, Finn, and Deal there, because there was a bit of a oh, here we go, contact, and I think Copeland has left now the door open for Christoph Volant, and they are fighting and giving a massive help to the top 6, and Nick Ludicki especially, as we have a problem for Nick Madsen, and he is off. I mean, this is so Nick Madsen, I'm sorry, but...
Oh, Kevin Finn down the inside of Ward. Down the inside doesn't look like it's working at all, really, does it? Every single time we see someone down the inside, they lose out. And now Alberti looks like he's trying to go around the outside of Deal, but that's obviously not going to work. Silver right on the back there. This is kind of insane stuff. Why are they fighting so hard? With 3 minutes left in the race, down the inside goes Alberti. They're fighting for 28th place.
Here comes
on the grid of the feature. Why are they battling so hard? They've got the top 6 sorted. They don't need to be battling like this, surely. No?
No, I agree with you. It's a bit strange.
Especially Ward and Finn now, because they've got a good second gap over Alberti. Because these guys are fighting so hard behind them that they've pulled away. They shouldn't be fighting with each other. They're just risking losing out on the feature.
Yeah, and even if they, make contact and somehow survive, some drive, you risk getting penalized post-race by the stewards. So I'm not sure, but great for us in the booth, very entertaining.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's entertaining. Yeah, I don't know if it's entertaining for the drivers. I mean, surely they are having fun. As we are about to get into the penultimate lap of the race.
Are we going to see the white flag being waved? No. So yes, it is the penultimate lap of the race. And it is Ward from Finn, from Alberti, from Deal, then Silva and Rudicki, who has... he's got Copeland for company now. Copeland's caught up a little bit, as has Valant, and Parker's not too far behind either. Oh! A little bit of a spin, a semi-spin from Valant.
Yep.
And he's lost a little bit of time for himself and Parker as well. They've both lost out a little bit. Madsen's just gone and set the fastest lap of the race. Johnson's off the circuit, probably in a wall somewhere, I would imagine. Yep, in a wall. That looks like turn 3.
And Ross Neal is in the grass.
Oh, Neal! He's out of the top 6 as well. He's down into 7th now. Copeland moves up into 6th. What's happened there?
I think they made contact. I would love to go to a replay, but I'm sure there is no time because these guys are not done, in my opinion. And here we go once again. Fight for the lead.
Is he going to make the move down the inside? He does, and Ward gives it to him. Did not try and defend that at all. Finn moves up into the lead, and I've got to assume that's because Ward knows he can pull off the same move on the final lap. I think that's very interesting as we have the white flag being waved now. Finn lead across the line. Alberti with the fastest lap of the race, taking it off of Nick Madsen, who's down in 16th and arrives 4 minutes late to the 4 laps late to the Consolation. It looks like they almost went side by side there into turn 2 and 3. They go. Finn a little bit wide now, but Ward, look at that, right on the rear end, and you can see Alberti there as well. They just need to finish the race though. There is really no need to be fighting for what is 25th, 26th and 27th on the grid in the feature. They have a second advantage over the drivers behind them as they're going side by side now. Deal trying to go around the outside of Copeland. Copeland with a massive lock up, and he's handed it to Deal. But now if he can get a good exit, he'll be able to make that move, you'd think, easily into the chicane. He's got a good exit, it seems. Kevin Finn pulling over to the right hand side of the circuit to try and get out of the draft. Ward, interestingly enough, not too fussed. He pulls to the right hand side. Alberti goes up the inside of Ward now. Kevin Finn should be able to walk away with this one. They come into the chicane now for the final time, and Alberti takes second place off of Lewis Ward. But it is going to be Kevin Finn, I think, who comes around the final corner now to cross the line and take the win in the Consolation race. Alberti finishes in second, Ward in third, and Copeland over in the grass as he comes across the line to take the final transfer spot there by, what, 1/10 of a second over Ross Deal.
Incredible stuff, great racing. I mean, very risky, maybe too risky, but we had fun, so in the end, who cares? And we also saw Nick Madsen make an appearance, there is. And that will be all for the Consolation, and now we have a warm-up, and I think we have time for a little word from one of our lovely sponsors, Dane. We have VRS. This message from you, and we will be right back.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta for the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship Round 3. We've just seen 3 fantastic races, and I'd like to say thank you to Virtual Racing School for sponsoring the broadcast, of course, and you can check them out at virtualracingschool.com for their 50+ data packs in road and oval racing. And yeah, it's very nice of them to be helping us along with these broadcasts. And Marco, we've just been treated to a fantastic consolation race. It was both awesome and terrifying to watch at the same time, I think.
Yes, and apparently only 3 minutes of warm-up instead of the usual 5, so it's already time to grid.
Well, no, no blue needed on the overlay this time, as no one gets through to anywhere from the feature. This is the final race of the event, and it will be Josh Thompson for Williams Esports starting on pole position. Kamil Grabowski, reigning champion, lines up on the outside of the front row. Then we've got Matthias Nogai with Matthias Jensen in for 3rd and 4th. Matthias Burke and Pascal Costa on row 3. Tori Bervin and Leandro Andretti in row 4, with Thomas Wangen and Stuart McFadden in 9th and 10th. Jake Blackhall and Nils-Erik Isaacson in the top 12. The rest of the drivers on the screen there, but they're not going to give us time because we are already green for the feature. And once again, a fantastic start from Josh Thompson. The Evolve Sim Racing cars are making contact with each other on the start, slowing each other down. Burke is up the inside of Grabowski. They make contact as well. Burke up into 2nd. Now the 2 Evolve Sim Racing cars going side by side into turns 2 and 3, and Grabowski holds on around the outside. Cones go flying, the poor cones, as Marco would say. And then we have cars mostly single file but double file a little bit through the field. But once again, a very clean start to the race somehow. Definitely wasn't expecting that. Torp has gone off the circuit and is losing a little bit of time, but for the most part, very clean. Thompson with a 1.5 second gap as they move onto the back straight for the very first time. Look at that huge gap he's got there after this first opening lap. And Sam Fitzpatrick is falling down the order. What is happening in the back of the pack?
Yeah, there's a bit of a fun there. All these drivers bunched together, as also at the front we might have an attack from Pascal Costa on the outside of Jensen, and also Guy. They bang wheels. They live to tell the tale, barely.
Somehow.
And that's the first lap in the books, but also in the back, as you were saying. Oh dear! Oh man!
Dear. Oh, that's
Stop.
Not good.
Oh, he's able to save it somehow.
That was right into the braking zone as well. How has he held on to that?
Careful, because they are bagging wheels at the front. As
Costa almost just turned around there as well over the curb, spinning their rear tyres as he landed. Oh, how have they all survived that? How have they all survived that? That is insane. A couple of drivers getting a little bit more than sideways out of the final corner on the first time. Thompson with a 1.7 second advantage now, probably going to cruise to victory unless he ends up making some kind of mistake. I don't expect anyone else on the grid to be able to challenge Thompson. Of course, he is a World Championship Series, well, he was a World Championship Series driver. He lost his license, of course, because he didn't finish in the top 20, but he did say he's going to try and re-qualify in a few weeks at this point, or a month or two, until the qualifying series restarts. Battle for second, Grabowski and Burke, and then we've got two cars looking very similar behind them as well. Nogai defending from Costa. Costa's got a bit of a good run there. He's just about behind, but he will get a slightly better line through this final corner, potentially trying to make something happen here. Thompson sets the fastest lap of the race, and Durutti all four wheels off the circuit on the outside of the final corner. As they come to start lap number 3, but everyone's setting personal bests as you would on lap number 2 of a race. Ooh! Nogai just clipping a curb a little bit awkwardly there. But still a mostly clean race.
Oh!
Oh, I've just jinxed it. Oh, I've jinxed it. Oh, there's a pile-up happening here at the S's. I've jinxed it terribly. Oh dear. What's that? 5 cars involved.
Yeah, one of the drivers spun, and that's the the worst possible spot. I think that was Stuart McFadden. I don't know if alone or with some help. And when you spin in front of everyone there at the S's, I'm actually surprised that more drivers were not involved in that.
Yeah, they managed to get onto the grass. It was down the straight. Oh, they're actually stuck.
Come on, guys. Come on, guys. No. This was a bit too much.
Yeah, Jensen just about managing to avoid a couple of the cars rejoining the other guy down, dropping down, probably going to be outside the top. Yep, outside the top 20.
Oh, Costa with a massive wreck.
Oh! I jinxed it. I said it was a clean race still after 3 laps, and then bang, everything kicked off at the same time. I apologise to the drivers. I've just done that to them, but Thompson leads by 2.4 seconds. We've had a whole bunch of drivers being taken out. What on earth happened down the straight? Trying to go 3 wide. Costa's just... Is it Costa there in the 167? Yes, it is. Just rubbing doors with Nogai, and eventually, of course, iRacing physics say one of them is going to get flung off. They really should have seen that coming there. But unfortunately, it means that basically all of them ended up getting taken out. Wolf leads the AM class in 10th overall, then it's Kevin Finn in 16th with Weivor in 20th. Those are the top 3 in the AM class. I think there's only one other AM driver in the feature race, but they're going side by side. 2 rows back now. Alberti making a move on Goddestad, and moves up into 12th place. Goddestad not particularly happy with that move, clearly, flashing the headlights. That's the 4th Fox Gaming driver, I've just realised. And now 2 Evo SR cars. We've got Max Wolf with Hutchinson behind. And this is for the top 10 positions there. And looking back, you've got a massive snake of cars. You can just about see the Kairos competition liveried car of Kevin Finn, who is the next AM driver. So he's got a good 3 seconds and a lot of cars separating himself from his next championship rival. But luckily, yeah, there's a lot of cars between them. So it should be doable for Wolf to hold on to this lead he has. But down this main straight, draft trains could make that a little bit more difficult for him. Yeah, the field spreading out a little bit in the front now. Nothing like what we saw in the Consolation Marco with all 7 drivers separated by a few seconds.
Yeah, the top 2 drivers, the top driver has pulled away from 2nd, who has pulled away slightly from 3rd, who has pulled away slightly from a bit from 4th, and 5th and 6th are running pretty much together, and then from Isaacsen on back, there is the big pack of cars. And of course we have the amateur leader Wolf in this, with Finn and Weber, as you were saying, and Copeland. So yeah, I think you were right earlier in saying only 4 amateur cars made it through the main event of the evening, and this means these guys are going to score a bit more points than their class rivals in tonight's event. As we go back to the fight for 10th overall, because Andrea Alberti is trying to make a comeback. Of course, one of the top 5, 10/10 drivers in the field. Had an unlucky hit race, was able to make its way back with the Consolation to the main event, but now has a bit of a mountain to climb, even though he's already plus 14 from his starting position.
Yeah, doing a brilliant job there, coming from the Consolation race, of course, and looking down the inside of Hutchinson, but never going to actually go for the move, I don't think, as we were off the circuit in the lower end of the top 20, having a bit of a battle with his fellow German of Kessler, but still riding on board with Alberti as he comes across the line to start lap number 7, nearing the halfway distance in the race. 20 minutes is shorter than the official races. The tyres won't get too hot. After around about half an hour, I'd say, the tyres start to drop off the cars a little bit. And for that reason, a lot of the drivers said they prefer this heat system to the regular 2-race system, because the tyres last much better in these shorter races. As looks like Kevin Finn's just got a little bit onto the grass in the background of the shot there. He's under pressure from Lewis Ward, and Sam Fitzpatrick's on the back of them as well. Ward and Finn continuing their battle from the Consolation race.
Yeah, they seem that they can't stay apart from each other. As in front of them, I think Alberti is trying to line up a move on Hutchinson and Wolf, the two Evo SR drivers in front of him. Also, Goderstad is there waiting in the wings. Nothing changing at the front. 21.1, 21.3, 21.7, 21.7. Gav Copeland has had an issue. He was already back by a fair bit, and unfortunately he has
lost.
Yeah. By the way, McFadden, of course, after that spin, I don't know if it was McFadden or Blackhall, because they both are in the same livery that spun there at the S's. But of the 3 wide crash we had later than in the race, Pascal Costa, he had very, very big damage and he's out of the race.
Yeah, the rest of the drivers involved in that far down the order. As we're looking at the back end of the top 20 drivers here, riding on board now with Sam Fitzpatrick, looking ahead at Ward, making a move around the outside of Kevin Finn. And he's actually made that move stick, and now this is bad for Kevin because he's on the inside, and look at this, Sam Fitzpatrick getting a little bit of a good run and can use the draft of Lewis Ward as well. Finn is going to try and cut him off, but Sam Fitzpatrick has to lift off and does so just in time. But now Finn might be able to have a move down the inside as they come around the right-hander and now in towards the downhill braking zone, very tricky braking zone, in towards the chicane. Keeps the position from Fitzpatrick, and Alberti's around again. Oh, it's so unfortunate for the Italian. Oh, and rejoice! Right in front of one of the other drivers there is Dominic Forster.
Alberti was side by side with a competitor as we were looking at the Fitzpatrick scrap with Finn and Ward. There he is. They make contact once, and then he makes contact with, I think that was Torp. Yes, it was.
Yeah. Unfortunate stuff there at all. Finn going around the outside of somebody through the S's there. As we cut back to live pictures, Hutchinson down the inside of Goddestad. A big battle behind these guys, building up now. We've got Torp, Finn, Fitzpatrick, Silver, Kessler, Nogai as well in there. Loads of drivers involved in this battle, and now Finn trying to make a move on Torp for 15th place.
And Ruti is getting under pressure from Matthias Jensen. This is the fight for 4th place, by the way, so we'll keep an eye on them as Kessler goes on the inside of Silva. Also Nogai is coming, one of the drivers involved in the mess on the backstretch earlier, doing a bit of lawn mowing there, as Ludecky also fancies his chances on the inside of Silva. Oh, you know what? Might be able. No. You know, if you can't put your car side by side with your opponent there, by the mid part of the corner there is no way you can go to unless you are, you know, very crazy or there is contact basically.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one to try and make a move on, but especially not if you're already well and truly up the inside or around the outside. If you're not fully alongside by that point, it's pretty deadly. That
oh dear, I think they crashed.
Oh dear. You can see them dropping down. Oh yeah, they're all going extremely slowly as well. What's happened there?
They are not done fighting.
Kessler's moved up a couple of places, has been touching the gravel a little bit on the outside, and now side by side just behind him as well. Nogai and Torque. Nogai around the outside, he's going to go around the outside of Finn as well. But Finn with the inside line should be able to hold. Oh no, gets turned around! Oh no, that car is toasted. Yeah, no, massive suspension damage. That is the end of Ludecki's race and the end of Kevin Finn's race, as well as
and
we have just over 5 minutes left in the race. And Silva, yeah, that car's done as well. What happened here then? Finn gets up on the curb. I think he's got tapped around by Torque.
Yes, he got a slight tap there. Of course, the cars there are cornering, putting all the load on one side of the car, so the slightest of touch, Dane, as you know very well,
yeah,
can, you know, turn around the guy. So
yeah, you get to say hello to the driver right behind you, face to face.
yes.
Yeah, and unfortunately that meant that Finn gets turned around, slammed into by, I think it was Ludecky, and yeah, that gave both of them race-ending damage. Put both of them in the wall on the right-hand side of the screen now, as we ride on board with Jensen, who starts lap 12 with around about 5 minutes left in the race. He's looking behind at Andretti.
Man, that car has seen the better days.
Maybe. Oh, it's not a very happy-looking Porsche, is it?
The Fox got a pretty big whack. That's what gets for being orange, I imagine. If it was a red Fox, probably this wouldn't have happened. Now, have you ever seen me in full baseball / softball gear, Dane? A sight to behold.
No, but you need to send me a photo when we're done here. You can't tell me that without sending me a photo afterwards. 4 minutes left in the race though. Sam Fitzpatrick under pressure from Kessler behind, basically pushing Sam around the corner, around turn 7, now onto the back straight. Kessler for Impulse Racing. Bump drafting, no, going to the inside. And they got Nogai as well, looking at their up the inside, potentially. No, he's just going to hang back, and Fitzpatrick not able to defend that one. Pretty difficult move to try and defend there. Nogai looking to go up the inside, as he's done a couple times already. That's what caused, really, the big incident that we just saw, involving quite a few drivers out of the final corner. But he moves up into 15th, and Fitzpatrick loses 2 positions in as many corners, with now 3 minutes left in the race. His teammate, Max Wolf, in the AM class, doing brilliantly up in the top 10.
He's having a fantastic race, and you know, the closest driver that made it to the main event, oh dear, in his class is 20th, and then there's Copeland 23rd, so it's going to be a massive push for Max's Wolf, standings. He's going to be a very, very happy man, I think, after this race.
Yeah, going to gain a lot of points from that. Definitely. 10 places ahead of Weevil, the next AM class driver, and then Copeland. Those are the only 3 AM class drivers who are going to score points from this race. Obviously, drivers will be scoring points in the heat and possibly the Consolation as well. But yeah, the feature race, only 3 AM drivers at this point are going to make any sort of points haul after the feature race. 2 minutes left in the race there. Matthias Jensen still holding off from Anderetti. And Wolf still holding off from Goddestad. Hutchinson's joined the party as well, so we've got a bit of a 3-way battle here for 10th. As it looked like Wolf was about to get attacked from Goddestad as they make their way down into the S's through turn 4, and then the S's, and then through turn 5 now, through the left-hander with the awkward exit. Over the blind crest they go. Flash of the lights from Hutchinson. Going to maybe dive down the inside. Looks for it. Not alongside. Nowhere near making actual overtake attempt. Trying to maybe put Goddestad off a little bit, as we only have 1 minute left to go. Next lap will be the last, and Josh Thompson's about to get the white flag from Barney the Flagman.
And just as a reminder, if you want to never miss a race from us, don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell here, and of course we also stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Apex Racing TV, and if you want to follow our live timing live as you watch the race, of course the Twitch stream is famous for having incredibly low latency, so if you're a fan of watching the race and following the live timing, go there, and yeah, you won't miss any of our broadcast, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're following along with live timing that you can find on our website at apexracingtv.com, you can find all the live timing there. It's very useful to follow along with the Twitch stream because, yeah, like Marcus said, low latency means that the timing is much more accurate to what you're seeing on the screen than it would be if you are watching on YouTube. Flash the headlights again from Hutchinson on the final lap, final time through turns 6 and 7 in round number 3 of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship, and Jensen's out of fuel.
Yes, he is.
Jensen's out of fuel down the back straight. There's a massive hill to come up out of the chicane. I'm not sure if Jensen's even going to make it across the line. Definitely going to lose a lot of...
He's doing the Dinner with Racers special, cutting the corner there. He's going to get a massive penalty. I don't think he's going to be able to serve the slowdown in time, so we'll put at the back end of the lead lap, as if I remember the rules correctly, the racing rules correctly, as we have final few drivers coming home. Incredibly close fight here. No guy will hold off Kessler and Fitzpatrick as they both go wide. As you see now, Jensen in 6th, but trust me, he's not going to be there come the end of the race.
Yep, absolutely. Just waiting on a couple drivers to finish. Christensen here and Kev Copeland a few seconds behind. And Jensen definitely not gonna keep 6th. I think it's a 40-second penalty if you don't serve a slowdown at the end of the race. I'm not 100% sure on that, but we'll find out now as Kev Copeland comes across the line. And where is Jensen gonna go? This is the big question. Let's see.
Okay, he's still there, but I don't
Still
think that is
6th.
accurate. We will see later, but we have the results. Unless he's managed to serve the slowdown in time, but I mean...
I think he has, because I'm looking inside of iRacing rather than on SDK Gaming, and he's in 6th. That's incredible.
Listen to the sound of the wind.
down here, he realizes there's absolutely no way. He doesn't even try and make the corner. Brilliant. Now serving the slowdown from here, because I guess he is going quite slowly compared to normal.
Car comes back to life briefly. And yeah, maybe he did. That was incredibly
Maybe the
clever.
slowdown isn't as bad as we thought.
Here we have the
But yeah,
results.
there's no way he made that if he actually goes through the chicane. I don't think he makes it back up the hill. But anyway, Josh Thompson takes the win for the second week running in the Apex Racing Company Porsche Cup Championship. Second race meeting for Josh and second race win as well, or meeting victory. Kamil Grabowski finishes 4 seconds behind in second with Matthias Burke in third. Then Leandro Andretti, Torberven, Matthias Jensen, Isaacson, Personi, Kundelis, and Max Wolf, the only amateur driver to finish in the top 18 drivers. You can see that, the only one marked with red. Goddard in 11th, then Hutchinson, Ward, Nogai, Kessler, Sam Fitzpatrick in 16th, Dominic Forster, Matty Chambers, Thomas Wangan, Sindre Silva rounding out the top 20, and then the second driver in the AM class, Thomas Weaver, Roger Christensen, Kev Copeland finishing third in the AM category. 1 lap down, Andrea Alberti will score points. Thomas Torp will not. Neither will Kevin Finn, Nick Ledecky, Pascal Costa, Stuart McFadden, or Jake Blackhall from this feature race because they finished 4 or more laps down from the leader. We're almost out of time. That's race form has actually taken up quite a large amount of time, but we have got a few drivers waiting to have a chat. I think we probably have time to take the race winner. I think it's fair to speak to him. He's done a pretty good job out there today, and of course I am talking about Josh Thompson. Let's get him in for a chat. Josh, he joins us now. Josh, welcome to the interview room, and second meeting in the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship and second win in the end. So yeah, that's a good race result for you.
Yeah, to say I'm not a fan of a place, I was kind of dreading coming into tonight. I was like putting off like doing any sort of laps all week, and came to this morning, I'm like, I better do some sort of practice. I really struggled with the car setup, so yeah, I'm kind of glad it all came together in the end.
And especially in the feature race at the start, you pulled away quite quickly because all the drivers behind you were pulling away, were battling with each other. So you managed to get a gap pretty quickly. How crucial was that for your race? Because of course we saw in the other races how easy it was for drivers to stay with the leaders if they managed to stick with them in the first lap because of the insane draft down the back straight.
Yeah, it was vile. I think it's like the most case for most people. Like if they know, I know I have a bit of pace, but with a toe, it's irrelevant. You're just going to get caught back up with how much it is on the back straight. In qualifying, and when you're behind someone, you gain from 2 seconds back nearly. You're always in the green, so I knew it was going to be tough. Race 1, I just broke, as you saw. But the main feature, I got probably the launch of my entire Porsche career. That was like by far the best start I've ever had, especially with a new system with the clutch wear, how it drops off. I've been struggling with that, so I was kind of happy I got the best start then. And yeah, that basically won the race for me. After that, you said like lap 1, I think I had like a 1.4 second gap, 2 second gap. And from there, I could just manage it. I could pace it, didn't have to risk it over T5 curbs and stuff like that. So yeah, it was very crucial that start.
Yeah, definitely. And then it was basically just managing the tires, I guess. Not as much as you would be used to though from the Porsche Super Cup, because obviously much longer races there than the 20 minutes in the feature race. So tires must have felt pretty good from your perspective throughout the race, I would imagine.
You say that, it was a bit tricky. Obviously, last time we came here, last time I raced here was on the old version, on the old like surface. And the new surface, it just seems like it's almost like an Okayama special with how much the car wants to move around mid-corner. And every time you go over a bump, it slides. So you could feel I could feel the rear starting to go, especially towards the end. As you could probably see, like I'd be consistent, but I'd have one lap where it all just fell apart. Like in turn 5, I'd have a massive slide or something. And obviously it takes 2 laps for the tires to come back. So looking at having that gap, it did help. I could just nurse them a little bit. I didn't have to push too much in traction zones and stuff. So if it was like on one-on-one racing, I do think you'd struggle with tyres around here. So lucky enough I didn't have to come down to that, but I've always been quite good on the tyres.
Next round of the championship is at Laguna Seca, which is not a circuit that is visited too often. What are your thoughts heading into that one? I've never driven this car at that circuit, so I wouldn't know. How is it?
It's pretty good. I did some laps with one of my friends who was doing one of their like local championships, like country championships. So did a few laps around there. Then it was okay. It was tough. It's going to be very queue dependent more than any other place you go to. Even though the toe is so strong, you can't really send to turn one because you have to brake quite a lot earlier than you think with like how the brakes are on this car. So it's going to be a bit more Mickey Mouse, I'd say. So queue's going to be very important. So I know it's going to be an interesting one because, like you said, you don't really go there very often, and I've not raced there in, I don't know, 2-3 years now. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely will. Well, Josh, thank you so much for joining us for an interview. Congratulations on another win, and we will see you at Laguna Seca. But before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, first off, you guys doing the broadcasting. I'll be watching it back as I always do. It looked great from when I was watching in between, like the feature and obviously last week's one back. So thank you to you guys. Obviously all the admins as well who run the series. Without them, obviously none of us would be able to race, and everyone at Williams Esports.
Well, thank you very much, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Well, I think that's just about all we have time for, unfortunately. And yeah, Josh Thompson taking a comfortable victory here today at Road Atlanta. And I would like to quickly thank the sponsor, a main title sponsor of the series, of course, Apex Racing Academy, with 29 data packs, setups, track guides. It's all integrated with VRS as well, so you can use the telemetry system and the lap comparison system. Very useful stuff in there. Weekly group coaching sessions, which are very useful. I use them myself personally a lot, and they've definitely helped me improve. And also one-to-one coaching is now available, so definitely do check out Apex Racing Academy at apexracingac.com. Also, thanks to SDK Gaming for providing the overlay that you've been seeing throughout today's broadcast. You can add a virtual live HUD to iRacing, show timing towers, enhanced relative boxes, mini-maps, and fuel calculators, as well as more widgets that you can show on the screen. You can also stream to Twitch straight from OBS with the most complete overlay on iRacing. Broadcast your league and series. SDK Gaming syncs your commentary team's cameras so you can focus on the drivers and the overlay as well with the broadcaster, and you can also adjust your team strategy on the fly with the most accurate live timing on iRacing. So go check them out at sdk-gaming.co.uk. Well, that is all we have time for. Thank you everybody for joining us for round 3 of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Championship. We have got round 4 coming up in 1 week's time, but between now and then, from myself, Dane Baird, from Marco Barbanera in the commentary booth and in production as well, doing double duty, we would like to thank you for watching and wish you a good night and happy racing.